Yesterday there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Hannah Olson and I live in Minnesota with my husband and our 3 children, Sophie, Soren, and Svea. Sophie is 6 years old, Soren is 4, and Svea is currently 8 months. I'm an elementary teacher turned stay-at-home mom and I homeschool our 2 oldest children. I love sharing about all things motherhood, homemaking, and homeschooling. Homeschooling is the topic for today's video, and I wanted to share about a question I see pop up a lot of the time regarding homeschooling, and that is what to do with younger siblings during school time when mama is working with the older child or children at the kitchen table, for instance. What should the younger kids be doing? And that will shift and continue to change for us as time goes on, because right now, like I said, we have an 8-month-old. Parenting and a lot of things are moving, a shifting playing field, and you always have to be willing to tweak and reassess. But I wanted to share what we do in case you have kids who are similar ages to ours, or you just want some fresh ideas. Specifically for today's video, we will be talking about what a preschooler can be doing while you're working with the older child or children, maybe let's say at the kitchen table. And in our house, we have our kitchen right next to our living room, so it flows right into the living room. I can see the living room right from the kitchen. We have a smaller home too, which makes this more feasible, but in some ways more challenging. So we've had to be pretty intentional about how we spread out to work really well during homeschool time. So I have Sophie, who's in kindergarten, work with me at the kitchen table, and at that time Soren, the second-year preschooler, is working in the living room on tasks. Now I don't want this to be a free-for-all where we are dumping toys and pulling out anything that possibly looks interesting to us, because then we've just got a mess, especially when I want to switch places, because I do work with Soren one-on-one next usually, and I want to make sure he is doing intentional and productive and helpful work while he is in the living room. So I would say that about 90-95% of the time I start with Sophie first at the kitchen table. She's our kindergartner, and so she just has more work to do with me. And Soren starts in the living room. So I set him up with a little, it's like a breakfast tray. I can insert a picture here and I will link it down below for you. We love these little breakfast trays. We kind of call them our desks, and they allow your child to sit on the floor and have a nice little desk workspace for any kind of worksheets or coloring. So Soren is set up there with that desk. I also love setting the stage for this intentional learning / working / playing time by having my Bluetooth speaker over in the living room. I put it on the coffee table kind of close to Soren, and I pop on our playlist. I have a Spotify playlist of classical music for kids. I think that's what I called it. And I can link that down below too if you're interested. I feel like it, again, sets the stage so beautifully for this is what we're doing next. This is our next phase of the morning, and he has something interesting to listen to. Classical music is also very, very good for young children, anyone's minds, and I love having that on. I feel like it really creates a nice atmosphere. Okay, this might sound a little too detail-oriented, but I wanted to mention it just in case it's helpful for you, just in terms of imagining how we set the stage here. I do angle Soren so his back is mostly to us. So we're in the kitchen, I can see him, I'm pretty much facing him, but then his back is to us. This is not mandatory. He does not have to sit with his back to us in the kitchen, of course, but I like to start him out that way at least, because it gives him his own little bubble or atmosphere where he is focusing, he's listening to the classical music, and he's got his little tray table, and he's also not turning and staring at whatever math game or something that Sophie and I are working on in the kitchen. Soren is welcome to bring any questions or anything he needs help with over to Mama at the kitchen table, even though I'm working with Sophie. I know different families have different rules for that, but since Soren is 4, I'm not going to make it super mandatory to not even say anything at all to us. So he can bring any questions over, but the general expectation is that Mama is working with Sophie. This is Sophie's work time, and we need to focus over here, so please don't distract us, and please continue on with your important work. And of course this shifts over time from times when Soren was a lot younger and he would just be playing with toys. But since he is 4 and he's on his 2nd year of doing preschool work, I have been able to pull appropriate and educational activities and even worksheets for Soren to do during this more independent work time and playtime for him. And I love it so much because then again, it's not a free-for-all. He's not dumping toys and just kind of searching through piles of things looking for what he wants to do. It's laid out. He's got several good options, and I do make sure he has several options to choose from while he's over in the living room. So I'm going to start with a couple of the more paper-based or worksheet type options that I give Soren when he is doing this independent work time, but it's not all worksheets. It's not the whole time just sitting with a pencil and paper. I love having other activities, and I have them here down on the floor, and I'm going to pull them to show you, but let's just talk about these worksheets first. There are 3 main websites I would say I love for worksheets and that kind of work for children. The first one is Teachers Pay Teachers, which is, I think, teacherspayteachers.com. You can just get a free account on there, and you can buy or sell little worksheets that you've created, or what you can look for whatever, of course, you need for your own homeschool. And you can filter your search results by free if you want just solely free activities. That works really well. We have bought some stuff on Teachers Pay Teachers, but a lot of the free stuff is good as well. This is an example of something I found for free on Teachers Pay Teachers. It's by someone called Teaching Bubs, or that's their name of their account. And this is just, as it says, find the uppercase and lowercase n's and circle them. So up here, Soren has to look for uppercase N and lowercase n down here. So worksheets like this have been really fun for him. There's some really good ones that are like an I Spy situation where there's a picture, but then the letters are hidden throughout the picture. You can find all sorts of stuff online and even on Pinterest too. But I would say Pinterest often leads you to Teachers Pay Teachers anyway, so you might as well start there unless you want a really cute looking idea. But we've loved worksheets like this. I also love worksheets by a blog called This Reading Mama, and I know this is math here, but she has a website called This Reading Mama. She has wonderful free resources for her email subscribers. So this is just a trace the match counting sheet, so he has to count the number of dots and then just trace which 2 match in each row. So I like worksheets like this where it just requires a very brief or simple explanation for Soren, and then he knows what to do and he can work independently. So this is a really good one. There are, of course, tons of worksheets like this, but This Reading Mama is a really great site to pull from. I also love a site called The Measured Mom, and this one is from themeasuredmom.com. This is just trace the number 4. It's represented here in a 10 frame, and then he has to, I guess he could use one of those daubers, but we don't really use those as much, so he can color in all the 4s that he finds. These kinds of sheets are really fun for Soren. He's enjoyed them. I usually give him several sheets like this, and then he can move on to a different kind of game or activity after he's done with a couple of sheets. So I'm definitely not having Soren sit and do tons of bookwork, tons of worksheets, page after page. He finds it fun, so I do give him several pages of worksheets probably every day, but he then can move on to other activities, which I want to show you next. This next one is pretty simple. You've seen this if you've seen my math supplies and activities video, which I can also link below for you. This is a hundreds chart, of course, and it's one of those pop-it hundreds charts. So very fun, kind of addictive to pop. Of course, Soren is not necessarily counting through this on his own all the way to 100, but he can practice counting, and it's also just a sensory game at this point for him. So this is a fun one to have for him over in the living room when he's done with his couple worksheets. We also have these ladybug counting stones, which I can link below for you. They have a nice heavy weight, kind of like a paper weight. And the ladybugs come in pairs, and you just have to count their dots and try to match 2 ladybugs together who have the same pattern on their wings. Teddy bear match is another really good one. These have, let me get them out for you. These have thick cardboard bears. We're almost to the stage where I know when Svea, our 3rd born, is like 2, she'll really enjoy kind of trying to match these or play with them because they're such a nice thick cardboard. But these bears each have a match, and it's a really fun little teddy bear game for even a preschool age. This came recommended as part of Sunlight Curriculum's preschool level, so this is just something we've had for quite some time. I think I bought it the school year Sophie turned 3. So this is a really good one for Soren to play with. This next one might be kind of hard for me to show you without making a ton of noise here, but we have this gear set and it is so much fun. This is a more recent development. I don't think I've shared about this before. This is from the company Learning Resources, and I have been realizing over time that they have a lot of really good high quality and educational products. I was going to say projects. It is a project for Soren. And they have all sorts of gears here. I don't know if it's 100 gears or what, but of course, being gears, you can put them next to each other on these little green playing boards, basically. It's kind of a base. And Soren has figured out how to hook all sorts of gears in different directions to turn them with the handle, and then all the gears are moving. So that is a super fun activity. It's not super loud. I just didn't want to clatter these, you know, have them clatter around here on the video for you. But it's a pretty good activity for independent time for a preschooler. Something else that I love having Soren pull for his independent work time is this toy. It's magnetic. It's called Clixo. CLIXO, and I'll link it down below for you. It's also a really good birthday gift idea or Christmas present idea. And Clixos, you can build all sorts of things. Let's see if I can find another for you. You can, oops, of course I have to do the magnets in the right direction. You can build all sorts of things, and Soren absolutely loves these. So usually after Soren finishes his worksheets or independent work, I give him just a couple options, like you can do Clixos or teddy bear match after your work. And Clixos, he always comes up with really neat things. It's a very bendy, it's a thick plastic, but it's bendy. And so you can make hats, you can make anything. Another good preschool level activity that Soren loves doing is these wooden counting cards. Here's 6, and it comes with these little pegs. I did share about this in other videos, at least one other video, and we have really enjoyed these wooden pegs over the years, and the child just puts the pegs in and then they are able to practice counting from 1 to 10, I believe. And yeah, these are high quality. They're actually from Amazon. I will link them down below because they're really high quality, and I was really impressed by them. They have stood the test of time for us, and this is a really good way for kids to practice that one-to-one counting, which is touching something for every number that they're saying out loud, or, you know, placing a peg in for every number that they're counting. Of course, it's a little harder to supervise and make sure he's counting every single number out loud as he's in another part of the room, but it still is a really good sensory or tactile activity for kids to do, and at least they're one-to-one counting as best as they can. We also have this fish matching game from Constructive Playthings, and your child has to count how many fish scales there are and match it to the number, and they also match by color. So if your preschooler is just working on colors, or if they realize that you're just matching colors, that's fine. It's a little bit too easy for older kids once they realize that you are just matching colors, but it's still a really cute activity. I can show you. The fish have a little peg here, so it's a pretty easy one for kids to put together, and Soren has enjoyed doing this over this school year so far too. Another really great activity for kids to do independently, especially if you don't give them all the cards at once, is Mighty Mind. We have the magnetic version, so all of our little tangram type shapes have magnets on the back. This set comes with all sorts of cards like this one, where they tell you what shapes to gather, and the little speech bubble here points to that other shape. Basically, you put the shapes in so that they all fit, and so Soren would gather red, green, and yellow and just put them on, and it works really well inside the metal tray that this set comes with. There are a lot of cards that come in the Mighty Mind set, so what I like to do with Soren is I pick out maybe 6 of the cards, and he can find the shapes himself, but I pick out some of the easier cards. They get really challenging later on, and he can kind of rifle through it too and choose different pages, but I try to get him started with some of these more feasible patterns and shapes. A lot of these activities would actually make good gifts for preschool-aged children too. Soren was also given for his 4th birthday this kids John Deere matching set. It's just one of those memory or matching games, and he loves tractors and all things farming, so he definitely has enjoyed making matches out of this, and this is another good way to mix things up. If your child gets tired of doing teddy bear match, then they can do John Deere match. Stuff like that is always good to have on hand. Another great option that we don't personally use yet in our homeschool time, because we use it other times of the day, is the Yodo player. We own 2 mini-sized Yodo players and we love them so much. I have a dedicated video here on my YouTube channel all about Yodo players, why we like them, how we use them during our day, and also our favorite cards, if it's worth it to be part of the Yodo club, all sorts of things. So I will link that video down below. I just wanted to mention it in case that ends up being a good fit for you and for your family. I would recommend that your preschool age child listens to the Yodo player with headphones in the other room, so then it's not distracting to everyone else in the family, maybe people working in the kitchen on homeschool work. But definitely look into the Yodo player because there are a lot of really good applications and uses for it in your family life. So I try not to have an overwhelming amount of toys surrounding Soren when he is doing this independent work/play time. I also don't have all of these activities out at once because that would be overwhelming. There would be probably a bit of decision fatigue. He wouldn't know which one to pick. I think that's true for many of us, even adults. We don't want all of the options out at once. So I try to pick like 2 or 3 of these, and then of course a couple worksheets as well. And he knows what he should do every day. He usually gets a brief explanation, a reminder of expectations from me, and then Soren can work happily listening to his classical music in the morning sun. I don't think that's too bad of a way to start a homeschool morning. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it brought you some fresh inspiration or ideas when it comes to homeschool time in your own family, and hopefully it was helpful to you. If it was, please give this video a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel here so you don't miss any upcoming content. You can also subscribe to my email list so that you don't miss out on some special content that you can't get here on YouTube. And I also have an online motherhood course called the Present Mama Playbook, and I absolutely love hearing how this course has inspired and challenged and motivated other moms in their homes. We love talking about fresh perspectives in motherhood. You'll get new strategies for running your home smoothly, and I hope to see you in our next session of that course, so you can sign up for the wait list for the Present Mama Playbook down below. Thank you again for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you're at, and I will see you in my next one.
Yesterday